Hello! On behalf of the Highland Park Public Library, I'd like to welcome you to Library in Your Living Room. I'm Susan, and today we're going to talk about Pixlr.com. Pixlr is a free photo editor that is entirely web-based. There are two different versions of Pixlr. You have Pixlr X and Pixlr E. Pixlr X is the very basic Pixlr program. If you see, if we go into it and we just create a new image, you have very limited controls. You can change your canvas size, you can move things around, you can cut, you can do repairs. This is a good basic program if all you want to do is touch up really quickly. If you want to do more, then what you want to use instead of Pixlr X is Pixlr E. So I'm going to create a new thing in Pixlr E, and you'll see you've got different setups and templates for sizes. The full HD is fine. If you have a particular size you want to make, you can use your own dimensions in here. You can choose if you want to have a background on, or you can make it no background, which will allow you to save it as a ping. I'm going to click on Create, and here's my work plane. And you'll see I have a whole lot more controls. Let's talk about some of the basic drawing tools that you have. If I want to make a shape, I have this square and circle over on the side. I click on that, and it gives me my basic shapes. I'm going to go for a star. You can see my opacity is set for 100%. I could bring that down so that it would be more transparent. I also have a stroke set right now for 5. I could bring that up or down. The stroke is the outline. And right now it's set to fill. If I were to click this toggle, it wouldn't fill. It would just be an outline. I'm going to put fill back on. These are the colors that we're using right now. So my stroke is the top color, and it's going to be yellow, and the fill is the bottom color, and it's set for pink. If I wanted the stroke to be pink and the fill to be yellow, I would just click on this double-headed arrow, and it would switch them. If I wanted a different color than pink and yellow, I can click on whatever color I want to change, and it brings me to the color picker, where I can choose a color that I like. Let's go with the blue. You can also, if you know your hex number, you can put in your hex number, or your RGB numbers, you can do that. You've got some random pickers down at the bottom that are colors that you may or may not have used in the past. I'm going to say okay. And now I'm going to have a blue stroke with a yellow fill. I'm going to draw my star. Now you want to be careful when you're drawing your shape that you start with enough room so that you don't run off your work plane. Because if you do, it will cut whatever is off the work plane up there. So as you see, I've drawn my yellow star with a blue fill. To move this, I would use this arrow tool. I could then move it. And as you see, it gives you nice positioners so you know when it's exactly square. I can stretch it. I can shrink it by pulling on the corners. If I wanted to make it squat, I would have to click on this free part next to fixed, and that way I could mush it down and make it a squat or a tall star. I could rotate it if I felt like it. I could flip it. And I can duplicate it if I want, and then I would have a second star, which I could move and change however I felt like. If I decided I didn't like my shape, I could click on the delete, and that would delete that image. So that's a basic shape that I can move. I can also use the brush to draw free-handed. If you click onto the brush, you have all your different brush styles that you can use. And what's nice about the brush styles in Pixlr is you can choose a brush. Let's say I chose this brush. And using the little ellipse, I could change the shape of that brush to make it whatever I wanted. I can rotate it if I wanted it to be slightly up. And you can see you've got a step thing here. I can increase that so that when I move my pen, the stars are farther apart, or I could decrease it and have it smear together. So if I wanted to make a chain of these little asterisks, I could go there. And now I'm set. And now if I draw, you'll see it's placing these little snowflakes around. I think this is a very handy tool. You have the erase tool, which is right here, and it has the same brushes. So I could choose another brush. Say if I took this star, I could take that star and I could stretch it into whatever shape I wanted it to be. I could do the step again with the eraser. I can do the change of size. And I can set a hardness or softness. So I could set it to be very soft. And it would erase a very soft star. So now if I go into the middle of my star, I made a tiny little soft star. I just can erase a very soft little dot. If I've made this eraser and I want it to be soft sometimes, but I want to have a much sharper edge other times, I can just turn on hard tip, which then allows me, when I erase, to get a much more defined version and not the soft, without having to go reset the eraser that I made. You can also change the opacity of your eraser. So if I went to a hard tip with a less opacity, you can see I just pulled some of the color off of that star. I didn't erase all the way through. If I decided I wanted to change the color in my star, the color picker gives you these very nice shade choices and complementary colors and things. So if I chose this purple, you'll see that I have now changed it to this sort of purpley pink. And I can use that color now with the fill tool and click on this blue, and now I have a pink arch. I can also take the color picker, and instead of choosing from their choices, I could choose the color picker from the color that I already have on my design. And then I can go back to the bucket and click and change the colors of some of my asterisks. You have the pen tool, which gives you a finer line than the paintbrush. You can choose various pen tips. So if I wanted it to look like a crayon, I've got a crayon tip. Furry does exactly as expressed. It creates fur. You can stretch it up, make a little giant fuzzies. You can choose how much it does the trick. And then you've also got ink, which is a nice fat ink tip. And again, I can increase the amount of ink that's applied. I can decrease the amount of ink that's applied. And I can change the opacity. If you have a opacity that's light and you go over a color, you'll see the other color through it. If you have full opacity, you won't see the other color through it. So those are your basic drawing tools in Pixlr. I hope you go out and play with it. create something fun.